Go rolling and clap in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Welcome back to Uncropped. Today we are talking about producing. This series we've been talking about different things that have been going on with River's Edge and how and who are behind making the film. So today we are taking a nice amount of time to talk with Dillon. He is my best friend. He's one of the producers on River's Edge, and he's also one of the co-founders and one of the co-partners of Room 310. So welcome, Dillon.
Michael, thank you for having me back on. It's been a while. I haven't been on this Uncropped podcast since you first started it, and we were talking about our old films, Insomnia and Hide and Sleep and Last Dream and all that. So it's good to be back. I got my tea ready and ready to go.
Yeah, those episodes were really fun, by the way. I still listen back to them all the time just because I know how much fun they were, and it just brings back really good memories. So
Hell,
nice.
Us talking about They Slash Them and Unsane. I got to get you back on my own podcast sometime.
Oh yeah, once I have time, my time is just gone right now.
Well, we got time tonight, so ready to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
What did you say when we were on set? Rolling? Dylan rolling?
Yeah,
Sound
well,
rolling?
Dillon
Camera
is doing
rolling?
slate, but Dillon decides to roll anyway. So
Me dancing on set, that was the highlight.
for some people, you being that some people,
Should I dab again?
please don't. So yeah, I want to first off talk about just the let's start beginning to end when it comes to this process of especially producing. Producing is a really challenging task. Both you and I know that. And so first off, obviously this was a project where Piper and I approached you and were like, hey, we want you to be involved in this because we were making this and we were planning on making it before Room 310 even existed. What were your initial thoughts when it comes to just us approaching you about, hey, let's make this film and you being involved in it?
Well, the thing is, Mike, we've been friends since we first met in your first year of college and my first year at Keene. If you haven't figured out already, probably from our past episodes, we were all Keene State alum. So it's my thoughts were like, okay, Mike has a project. Let's do it because, I remember calling him one night and saying, hey, let's form a production company. We got Colleen and other people involved, and here we are now. They were working on their senior capstone project, and this was going to be our first major Room 310 project. We'd done other projects, short films, documentaries, helped out with photography and doing some client-based work, but this was our first this is what we set out to do. So I was honored to be brought on board, and I said, okay, it's going to be a process. And right away, figured that, okay, it's all hands on deck. Everyone's going to be doing something. Everyone's going to be pulling, double duty, double shifts, variety of jobs. So, Mike, we have the role set already. Mike's directing, Piper's writing, co-directing. I'm producing along with other people. So it's, now that I guess you could say the foundation is there, some of the main people are there, throw in Colleen there too, because she's a managing director at 310. So the base is set. Now we need to start putting the crew together, and we all have to work together. That was my thoughts. So it's like, so to wrap it up, it's basically like, oh, we're in for a big project. We all got to work together. But it's an honor to be, making something that you set out to do, and let's bring our goals to life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And
it's kind of a long explanation, but
it's a good explanation, though. That's the thing, and I appreciate you and everyone else's support along the way, because again, I've told you this story many times, and I told the story last time, but it really did start out with just an idea one night on a FaceTime call with Piper, and now because of all of you putting your everything into this, we actually have a physical and visual representation of the story that we just came up with one night. So I genuinely appreciate all the work, especially you've done into this, and just the support along the way, because we've done so well so far.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, right back at you, Mike. I'm very proud of what you and Piper have done. And I will repeat it again at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. But, it come such a long way since, little film students, young film students, first video production class in college, and now we're making feature films. It's like, let's put everything we've learned to use, right?
And speaking of what you were just saying, actually, that this was our first feature film. This was our first feature film, so that was a whole different challenge in and of itself because none of us had experienced anything like this before. None of us had really had the opportunity to make an hour and 20 long film with all the resources that we possibly needed. But we also had such a small budget. We are operating on like a short film budget, but we're making an hour and 20 long feature film. How are the challenges there? Because I know you can speak to that as you're doing a lot of the producing behind the scenes. Like how is that affected?
Well, my first thought is, and I'm just gonna backpedal here. I'm a horror guy, as you know, if you've listened to my own podcast and all that, and the films we've made. But I'm not just a horror guy. I do love indie films. I love travel films, adventure films, coming of age, romance, sci-fi, and this falls into the coming of age and travel and indie, very indie. And when I say that, I think of low budget. When you hear indie, you think of low budget. We don't have $200 million like Star Wars and Star Trek and Pirates of the Caribbean and all that.
I really wish.
Yeah, I wish. I wish we did. We'll have Cash and Hadley have a lightsaber fight at some point.
Yes, that's definitely slated for scene 78 at the end of the film. Yep.
Instead of the football scene, it's just them having lightsabers and the Force. No, anyway,
yes, exactly.
all seriousness though. So going into that producing mentality, jokes aside here, but still, we don't have the $200 million. So we're like, okay, so what can we do on a budget of $2? So one, let's get the best people, best crew. We can't hire. I wish we could, but we obviously couldn't hire the any professionals. I say that in quotes. So let's hire someone equal. Let's hire our friends from college who are. Shouldn't say hire. Let's bring them on board who are the next best thing, the equivalent. Let's get the best gaffer, sound, DP. So that's one thing. And have to volunteer their services. Can't promise them any pay. So that's one thing.
And as much as something we really want to give them pay and stuff, these people are also a lot more motivated. I think that they're a lot more motivated because also they're young like us and they haven't really made a big name for themselves. So they're 10 times more motivated than someone who's already got a name for themselves and stuff. So they want this to be as good as possible because it also benefits them.
Obviously, it's for their demo reel, for their resume, anything to help them. And, at the time, we're an official Room 310 company, official production company. So we have something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so now that we have the crew together, now let's talk about equipment. I know that was definitely where my area was. So, but again, all of us working together, we don't have the fancy Red Gemini cameras, and as much as I'd love to have them, the Black Magics. So it's again thinking on the budget here, we have to pool our resources together. So raise your hand, who has lights, who has the camera, who can, some of the crew members worked at different local film studios. Like for us, we work at community television. So let's ask them if we could borrow some equipment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that actually was really, really useful overall because, again, we had the connections to be able to make something work. And again, like you said, we were like, okay, who has a boom pole? Who has light stands? Who has C-stands? Who has camera lenses? It's kind of a mixture of who has what, but it all worked out so well because everyone understood and was on the same page and were willing to help out in that sense. So that was really nice.
I love it. It's we took a class in Keene, collaborative filmmaking. Let's let's bring that to life. Let's collaborate now. And again, as I said, like pool our resources. We don't have the big Hollywood lights. Okay, so what can we do with these, the 6-pack of $20 lights from Home Depot? How do we make it just as good?
Yeah, and we bought like low budget LED panels, and they worked really well. That like yes, you have like the Astras that are like $800 a light, but these ones we got for what $120, two LED panels from like the brand newer, and they worked super well and they were perfectly fine and we had no issues with them. So again, it's a matter of yes, we can do things on a budget and make it look like we had a little more money to spend than we did, and we did a good job with that, I think.
When we formed Room 310, we kind of thinking of modeling after companies like Blumhouse and A24 and all those like indie companies that make films. I'm like, I know it's a lot, but for the Hollywood system, it's not like $1 million. Like,
Yeah.
how do you make a film that looks like Blade Runner, but was filmed on a budget like 99% less than that?
Yeah.
And that
That's
was
hard
us. And that was us here. Like with River's Edge, we don't have all that money. How do we bring it to life?
And how do we make it look as good as possible, like you said?
Yeah.
So.
And on the subject of money, that was the other thing. Like when we say, okay, this project's going into full production mode, all right, we're going to have to find a way to get money. We looked into like grants, not really much there, unfortunately. So we said, okay, it's going to be out of pocket and donations from our friends, family. We ran a couple fundraisers. We asked just every connection for just something, $5, $500, anything. I remember, we planned that day. We filmed your pitch video at your apartment, and
I remember that,
let's see how much we can solicit from people online. Talk to communities on Facebook, film funding groups, all those. So just anything. And of course, again, out of pocket. Some of our paycheck money, a lot of our paycheck money went to this film.
Yeah, and I will say also that if people do still want to donate and they're listening, go to room310media.com, click the donate button in the top right. They'll bring you to a form. Just say that you're donating to River's Edge in that form. We genuinely appreciate it because right now we're in the part of in post-production. Right now we're in post-production. We're trying to get everything finalized, want to make everything look as good as possible. And we're also going to do some screenings and hopefully submit to film festivals depending on how things go. So again, if it doesn't go to River's Edge, it'll go to another project that Room 310 will be working on soon.
Absolutely. And we appreciate it.
We're excited, and anything helps. Literally just sharing our website just to get exposure helps, especially since we are a brand new production company. But back onto the topic of River's Edge and the producing aspect of things, this was a really challenging project to organize. You were kind of like my main helper when it comes to organization. You were on FaceTime with me many nights as I was trying to figure out filming schedule. We're trying to figure out casting. We're trying to figure out so many different things. And you were there like all the time. So first off, thank you for helping as much as you did. You kept me sane through a lot of this. But
you're asking an insane guy to keep you sane? That's a tall order.
I know. It really is. I don't know why I trusted you with that. But genuine question here. What was the most challenging part for you of this entire production?
Honestly, this is a tough question. So, well, here you are challenging me, Mike, and I love it.
See, I'm good at this, Dillon.
But no, the thing that there was a challenge in every aspect of production. First off, I know we wanted to make this. You wanted to make this what 2020. 2022, 2023, but obviously still in school. There are a lot of factors, so we had to put it on pause. But I'm actually glad about that because it gave us time.
Yeah, and Piper and I actually talked about that too in the last episode. Like we originally wanted to make this in spring of 2022, but we said it was like a blessing in disguise that we had to push it back because we wouldn't have had the great crew and great cast that we had today. We wouldn't have been able to do as like nearly as good of a job. So, like you said, it was a good thing we did that.
No, you can't rush art. So,
Yeah.
and well, I'll start with the first challenge because I ran into a few. We ran into a few along the way. So,
Mhm.
I think in pre-production, I think the challenging part was casting.
It really was.
I'll say scheduling, but that falls under it because we cast our first. Well, originally we put a post on Backstage, got got a lot of hits on it and some interested people, but we had to push it back. Then we did it again, and we casted Cash, played by Isaiah, who did wonderful, and then
He did a
Cora.
fantastic job. Yeah.
Cora, she was amazing. And then
Well, actually, sorry, stopping at Cora real quick. Isaiah was the first one to be cast as Cash. He was the first one. We had someone that we had originally wanted to play Riley, but something came up with their schedule and they weren't able to do it. Cora didn't even apply on Backstage. I had reached out to her because I remember she did acting and she was from our high school. Reached out to her and she was genuinely interested. And as soon as we just had a call and a talk with her just about the project, I knew that she was going to be right for it. And Piper and I knew that immediately that.
Yeah, no,
right.
I was saying that we did have some hits on Backstage, but they didn't really fit who I believed Hadley was. But then you said you reached out to your friend Cora. See, this film was all about connections.
Absolutely.
And you got that connection. I'm so glad you and Piper knew Cora. She did a fantastic job as Hadley, and she added a bit of a sarcastic side to Hadley that I really liked.
I really like how she played Hadley. She did such a good job with adding, like you said, that sarcasm. It was perfect.
I always thought of her as the sweet sister. Maybe not fully goody two shoes, but not someone who would say that stuff. And she added some more dimension to Hadley that really, at least in my opinion, worked out very well.
I genuinely agree because originally, like you said, Hadley was going to be kind of like clean, like goody two shoes, kind of like perfect person. But once we got Cora in and she was able to really dive into Hadley as a character, we had many FaceTime calls and just discussions about the character in general. And we just talked about how are you thinking the character is played? And we were having a discussion and she was talking to me about it. And I was like, yes. It's not completely written in the script that way, but she made me really think about the character more. And it's so much better when you get to think about the character as an actor, because you can actually put a face and a personality to the character, as opposed to before casting, you don't really know how someone's going to play it because they don't talk to you about it, because you don't have anyone to talk to about it. But she did a great job at taking a character and making it uniquely her own.
And feeding off the others.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
They had really good chemistry all around.
Oh, amazing chemistry. And we got lightning in a bottle.
Literally. And speaking of chemistry, let's talk about let's skip Riley for a minute and go to Doug.
Yeah, I was actually going to go there because that was the other challenge. We needed a Doug. And we had screen tested a few people, but they looked the part of Doug, but they just couldn't get Doug.
It wasn't.
It was either too stiff or too nice. Doug is the classic abusive father, or asshole. He's got the wife beater, alcohol in his hand, and I was thinking of him. The Doug I was imagining was, if you've seen the movie Chronicle, that father in there is a piece of shit. And I was like, okay, we need someone like that. But then again, connections. You had a friend back at home, David, who, besides,
he's my dad's karate teacher,
and besides a family friend and all that, he had acting experience and filmmaking experience, so.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Piper and I talked about the fact that he came out of acting retirement for us, which made us feel super special because he hadn't acted, I think he said, since like 1997, which is before I was born. It's the year you were born. But it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that he came out of acting retirement, in air quotes, for us, because we know David in the sense where he will not do something if he doesn't like it. He will not. He will go with what he believes in. And the fact that he believed in us and our story makes it 10 times more like memorable to us. That means a lot, especially with someone like you said with a lot of experience too.
Yeah, no. And all I gotta say is, David, thank you. He did amazing. I love the actors that are like so mean while acting, but then once the camera turns off, they're so nice. And he was also a mentor to the younger actors as well, and us. He was genuinely interested in what we wanted to do for our careers. I had one time, it was in between takes, in between scenes, we were having like dinner, and he and I sat together, and we were just talking about like, hey, so Dillon, what made you get into producing? What got you into filmmaking? And we were like, David, what got you into acting? And then we had a long conversation about our cats and all that. Me, I'm a cat person. So,
oh my, of course cats got to be brought into this podcast episode.
Oh, why not? But no, the thing is though, like, but that experienced presence on set was good for all of us, I think.
Yeah, and he and I kind of know each other a little well, like not super well, but well enough to know, like, hey, and I told this to everyone, like, hey, if you have feedback for me and if you have constructive criticism for me, tell me. I want to learn. And for not just me, but everyone on set and everyone in the crew, I want everyone to have this as mainly a learning experience while also getting to make a great film. So
absolutely.
And I know you thought the same exact thing.
Absolutely. We were all first-time filmmakers on this, so it was a learning experience for all of us. So it's
let's rephrase that to first-time feature filmmakers.
Yes. But like it was, but still though, like it's the experience that attracted all of us. Let's show off our cinematography skills, our gaffing skills. How do we direct? This is not a student film for a class. This is a project that we all believed in.
Yeah, this is an actual movie, completely separate from school, on our own, making something we believe in. A passion project, like you said.
So that's Doug.
So it's crazy different.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. And as I said, that's Doug, and David did amazing. And again, lightning in a bottle with the chemistry with the other cast members. So that was one challenge, the challenge of finding Doug. And that's the advice to all filmmakers out there. Really look for your person.
Yeah, and me especially, because when we were going through actors and stuff, I was like, I feel really bad saying that I don't think they fit the part, because I know how hard people work in both acting and the film industry to like send in an audition tape and that kind of stuff and send in a reel and apply for stuff. But I felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry, this person just doesn't look the part, or this person, I don't think they did a good job. And I feel bad because I don't want to take away from the fact that they did work hard just to create that audition tape. And I felt bad being picky, but I'm like, again, this is our story and it has to be represented properly. So I was kind of like justified in a way, but also like, I feel bad.
That happens all the time. And I mean, that's the working world, and it's the film industry, and it's just, if someone doesn't fit the part, yes, you could work around it, but if they really just don't fit the part, then I'm sorry, you gotta find the right person. Like, obviously, like, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be perfect, but if you want a character, like, I want this, and this from them, and the actor isn't portraying all that, then, I mean, you gotta do something about it.
Yeah, you have like three. It's basically kind of like you have these three primary goals. There are like secondary goals as well, but as long as they can hit the three primary goals and be flexible to the secondary goals, it's better. Um, and I guess that's how we're gonna kind of like pivot into the challenge of finding Riley.
Yep.
Let's use that as our pivot point.
Yeah. So we got Doug, and then this was I say the biggest challenge of pre-production, finding Riley, because we originally had someone. They dropped out for personal reasons. It's understandable. It happens all the time. But then you especially, you put posts on Backstage. You got hits. No one really fit the part. I put some posts on like Facebook, got a few interests and likes. I told them to apply. They even sent me some of their headshots and emails. I was like, I don't really think this person fits. One guy, I won't use any names, but reached out to me a few times, like, "Hey, I'd like to audition," and I said, "Okay." And then he kept emailing me, and I said, "Okay, we'll try it again," but it wasn't working.
And again, that's like where you kind of feel like bad saying no, sorry, but at the same time, again, it's the vision. You have to get the vision down, and um, we did finally get Jared reached out, and he's a great actor. But I was actually just looking back at our emails. We started communication May 16th, which, if you don't know, we started filming June 22nd. So that was a month and 6 days before we started, and we didn't actually like confirm that he was doing that. Like, we didn't confirm a what's it called, a chemistry test until the 24th of May. That's less than a month before. And then we did a chemistry test, and then official casting was May 30th, which is again like 3.5 weeks before filming. But again, it was. I'm really thankful that he reached out and he did it, because he was amazing. Like, he did a great job, and everyone in the cast, but Jared especially, like, really impressed. And as we went through more and more, and everyone got to know each other more, it only got better.
Oh, I fully agree with you there. And that was like, I will admit, our hearts were kind of like pounding, like with that, because here we are, 2.5, 3 weeks before shooting. We still don't have a Riley. I am not gonna. We're not gonna dress someone up to be Riley. We're not gonna pull a random guy off the street and give him the script and say, "Here you go." One actor wanted like payment every day. I think he wanted like $1,000 a day. I'm like, we can't do that, dude. His
Yeah,
rate was
we're
his rate
low
was too
budget.
high.
Yeah, and
But
that's the
then,
thing that sucks, is I'd love to pay everyone as much as humanly possible, but again, we're a low budget production, which means we have to do what we can with what we have, and that's part of the challenge. But again, the hope in the end is that it's all going to pay off, and we're all going to make some sort of profit off of this, because we want to give everyone here a kickstart into full-time filmmaking. That's the real goal here. Yes, the priority is to make a great film, but in order to make our futures more evolved and better and have more potential, we have to make a great film. So
yeah,
that's the two main goals here. Is one is to make a great film that we believe in the story of. The second one is to make it good enough that we can promote ourselves and be proud of it and have it something like on our reels, and that gives us more options and potential jobs in the future.
and we have to get the right people. And with Jared, we got the right person because he fit Riley.
Oh yeah, we did.
Riley is the nice, supportive friend. Jared played that perfectly. The nice, supportive, athletic. Gotta add that too. Friend. So.
Yeah, but also, I feel bad in this sense, because Piper and I didn't really write out Riley's character too much in the script because again it was mainly prioritizing Cash and Hadley, but Riley is such an important character, and I kind of feel bad that we didn't write him out as much, but he did such a great job of actually like adding more personality to Riley than we originally wrote. So I'm so glad that we had Jared because he added more than what was originally there. So I thank him again for doing that. And everyone in the cast did that as well. They added so much more to their character than was originally written. And there were even moments where these cast members especially were adding on lines and improvising. And I was like, I'm so glad you did that because it's 10 times better than what we had written in the script. Like they were so good at that.
Oh, of course, and I completely agree with you. And that's the other challenge, too. We got the cast, but then it was the schedule, so we had to work around their schedules. So we had, 2.5 weeks up in Maine, but Riley, Jared wasn't available for the first week, so we're like, okay, we filmed all of Cash and Hadley's scenes and Doug's scenes, and then we got to squeeze Riley's in the last week and a half. So...
And I remember there were nights where I was sitting on FaceTime with you at like 3 a.m, figuring out the schedule, be like, okay, so if we do this scene and this scene, this has to be a nighttime scene, so we have to film there. Jared's not available this time. Isaiah's not available this time. Like, really having to take everything in. I think we spent hours and hours and hours on the schedule, and we had like 7 different iterations of it at some point. And even there, it went from that, and then even last second we had to do some stuff, last second moving around of schedules and making it all work. But again, we made it all work.
How we did this, I do not know.
I have no clue.
We did it. But, it's like, like editing, syncing the sounds, syncing the schedules. Okay, I'm available all these days, but this person's only available for only 3 of those days when we need everyone on set. So let's do all the big stuff, all the essential crew stuff this day, and then skeleton crew this day. I don't know how we did it. You did awesome, but we did it, and as I said, experience. Now we're gonna learn from that.
Yeah.
But again, sure. I completely get it that like some stuff is out of everyone's hands. So it's there were those days where like, oh, and I guess this is the pivot to the next challenge that was pre-production challenges. These are the actual production challenges. I think the challenges there were like just the long days. It's hot. People are tired. I know there are times that, frustrations kind of boiled over, but, at the end of the night, because you just got to kind of diffuse and be like, hey, what worked, what didn't work. I know weather was a factor. There were some rainy days, equipment malfunctions. But the thing is, it's a challenge, but it's also stuff that is out of your hands. So it's like, just adapt. So I think that was the challenge, just adapting on the fly. It's easier said than done.
Absolutely. And like you said, there were so many challenges on set, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was no one's fault in particular. And like you said, tensions did run high, but it was no one's fault in particular. It was just the situation that was frustrating us. So a lot of us were frustrated on certain times and certain periods on set, but it was, again, just because we were frustrated at the situation and not at anyone in particular, anything in particular.
No, I admit there were times I was frustrated with like equipment malfunctioning. It's no one's fault. It's just like, oh, great, this is a big scene coming up and the XLR cable died. Great. And, there's no Best Buy around. There's no...
Again, we filmed up in Maine for most of this, so there is no like Best Buy or anything.
There's no Amazon takes 2 weeks to deliver up there. So, these last 2 extension cables, they may be 50 feet long, but they gotta last.
They have to work.
And let me say this. I have never seen this happen before. We were all there, but that light that was flickering, and it was the same shutter speed as the camera, and caused that little black bar, You know what I'm talking
I
about?
remember. Yeah. So we were terrified that we had broken the camera or the lens or something was going crazy. It was in my parents' kitchen. We filmed in my parents' kitchen or my parents' living room for one of the scenes and stuff. But we were sitting there and we had a light on and we were looking and just a black bar in the center of the camera. We didn't know what the heck it was. We pointed it away. It was away. Or pointed away. It still was there because the light was lighting a lot more than just that one section. So then we turned the camera off, turned it back on, made sure there was nothing in the lens. We changed the lens. We made sure nothing was in the actual, like, the body of the camera that was affecting it. And then
Cleaned it.
I cleaned it. We did everything. And then we were all freaking out. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, let's just turn, like, lights off and back on. See what happens. Someone turned off the lights. I don't remember who. But someone turned off that light. Turned on another set of lights. Oh, it works. Then I turned that light back on. The little set of light that was like the same shutter speed as the camera. And we were even Googling, like, what the hell happened now. And then we turned the light back on, and it came back. I was like, what the hell? Turn it back off, it goes away. So then we looked at the light, and we were like, it's like really closely flickering or whatever. So we're like, it must be the same shutter speed as the camera.
Yeah.
Or something similar to make it fuck up like that.
I have never seen that happen.
Me neither.
In all my very short film career.
Like, I've seen, like, when you're looking at, like, a phone screen or a microwave or something, seeing the little digits flicker and because the screen is different, but I've never seen a light be the same shutter speed as the camera.
And I was freaking out, too, because, I mean, that's our only camera. That is the main camera.
Yeah.
So
we don't have another camera to go to unless we want to film on a Canon SL3 or whatever instead, which isn't as good.
And I said, okay, listen, if this camera is broken, I will drive like 4 or 5 hours back home and buy a new one. Yeah. Like, because I want to finish this film. And that was what, like, that was like what, day 4 or 5?
I think it was like day 4 or 5, but it was because we had never filmed with that light on before. Because everything else had been using the lights that we brought. So that one light, it was in the kitchen, scene 16, scene 16, that's what it was. So it was when Cora, or Hadley, is walking to the living room. Yep, I remember exactly when it was. Yeah, but it was totally fine after that. We just didn't use that light, and everything was fine, but it was a giant, like, crisis-averted moment where we were, like, literally all standing there, like, holy crap, what just happened? I'm so glad it wasn't any worse. Like, that was crazy.
I think Will and I, at the end of that, like, held hands and, like, collectively, like, we all did this, breathed a sigh of relief, and, like, we hugged because he was upset that he had, like, screwed up. Colleen, she was upset, like, she may have touched something. I was upset because, like, oh my God, my equipment's broken.
Yeah.
And, like, it was running fine before, so, God. So, yeah, crisis averted, and holy shit, did we dodge a bullet. So, yeah, speaking of challenges, that was a big one. I think that was at least one of the most notable ones on set. That was, I want to say, out of our control, but, like, we definitely couldn't see it coming.
Yeah, that was day 7.
Day 7. See?
Day 7.
Like, holy God.
And also, I will say that scene was filmed on the same day where I'm not going to use names or anything, but in the last episode, or one of the other episodes, Piper and I talked about the fact that we had someone not feel well on set and we had to throw stuff around and make stuff work and just shuffle schedule around. So we had the schedule shuffling, and then right after, we had this whole light thing where we were all crazy about what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going on anymore, blah, 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 blah. So it was back-to-back chaos for us, and we were all basically going insane at that point, and then this just adds on to it. So it all worked out, obviously, but it was a little scary moment, and we were glad it wasn't anything actually wrong.
So, yeah, no, thank God. And, hey, we finished the film, and... that it's been a long answer, but that was I think the other challenge of production, just the little stuff that builds up that you can't prepare for, or things just happen, and I mean, but that's working. I worked in a restaurant for a very long time, so I know about this. You have to do something on the fly, and
Yeah.
there were a lot of stuff that needed to be done on the fly, but because of the good crew we had and the good cast, we all pitched in. We supported each other when we needed it. Uh, that's you might not have liked it, but that's why I was like dancing on set and joking because I said,
Got to
"Hey,
keep the mood up.
let's keep the atmosphere loose. Like let's dance. Let's have some fun. Let's we were playing Clue one
That
time
was
in
fun.
between scenes because we just needed to forget about filming for a while.
Yeah, and we also last week we posted on Instagram. This will be going up next week, but last week we posted on Instagram just a photo behind the scenes of like Isaiah and Jacob playing video games on the couch when we were filming in the Cape. Like that's the kind of environment I want people to have. I want people to have fun and enjoy themselves when we're not like filming. Well, enjoy themselves while we're filming, but enjoy even outside of filming and have fun and just enjoy the people.
Sackboy for the win.
Oh my god! I think Isaiah's going to be addicted to that game from now on. He loved it so much.
But
Speaking of, I got to get him on for an episode too.
I am glad. I'm just so glad that like we had that good of a crew, and that we were able to overcome all those problems, and again, the support, the brotherhood, the teamwork. You don't always get that.
No, and we are, like you said, so lucky to be able to have had that. My thought is here. We've talked about the challenges on set. What was your favorite part? Like favorite moment on set? I think I know what you're gonna say.
Well,
Can I guess, or do you want to say it?
I think I'll just say it. My favorite moment on set, though, I think just all of us working together. That's it.
I thought you were gonna say car wash.
Okay, that was fun, but but that's not the highlight, Mike. That was for like a minute we were dancing.
Exactly, your favorite moment on set.
Yeah, but the favorite moment on set was, I think, just all of us just working together, having fun. Yeah, we went bowling. We went. It was my first 4th of July off I'd had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But just all the crew bonding moments. There was one night it was me, Peter, and Angus. We were just bonding over bad YouTube movies and bad capstones, and we were laughing. We were just boys will be boys, right? So
I think that
but that helped the chemistry, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments, which wasn't even an on-set moment, but I can't tell you how much I enjoyed our hike up to Mount Batty. I know not everyone was there, but that was so fun.
I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that. That was fun. I cheated. I had to drive.
Yeah. But no, it was fun, like, because also it was like a couple of days after we had all gotten there, we had like a day off, and it was really a bonding moment because like Isaiah came, Murphy, Maddie, Aiden, Peter, Colleen, myself. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but it was nice because I hadn't worked with all those. The only person I'd really worked with was you and Colleen. You met us up there, but the walk up was the real like good bonding experience. But I hadn't worked with any of them besides Colleen in the past, so it was a really good time for me to like have conversation and get to know people, and it was just really fun. Isaiah was hilarious. He was always in a good mood. Like, everyone was always in a good mood, but Isaiah especially, like, I never looked around and didn't see a smile on his face. I don't know how he does it, but I love it.
Hey, you need people like that in the world.
No, and everyone was in such a good mood on set and such positive attitudes, even though I was the one that was the stressed out, crazy person in the background and trying not to take out my stress on other people. So it was pretty good.
And we put some of that footage in the film.
Oh, yeah. The Mount Batty stuff, definitely we put it in the
So
film.
it was
And shout out to Aiden.
A fun filming day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like B-roll filming day, but shout out to Aiden for his on-the-fly fantastic cinematography, because I was just like, let's bring the camera, maybe we'll film while we're up there, and perfect. It all looked amazing.
It was. It really was.
It was great.
So those were my favorite moments. Just the cast and crew bonding. I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it so much.
Sackboy and hiking and bad film riffing, all that. Like, you're not gonna get that in a lot of places.
No, and I will say this until I die, that we were so lucky with how fun and how great of an environment it was for everyone. And even from there, I wouldn't change a single thing. I mean, I'd change how some shots came out, but I wouldn't change the personnel, because everyone did such a great job, and it was so fun, and I want to work with everyone again. Because
I want to work with everyone again too. Let's do it again.
Yeah, well, and I guarantee in the future we're going to do something again. It's just a matter of getting everyone together, being able to do it, and just having a story to tell.
Story worth telling in my book.
But no, we're definitely going to work with them on something in the future, because they all did such an amazing job. But I want to Jeff definitely will have more people from the crew and the cast, hopefully on set, from the crew and cast, hopefully on this podcast, not on set, on this podcast.
I hope they're going to be on set.
Well, they already were, so that's good. But yeah, I think I have Murphy slated to talk with me, and I have another episode of Piper coming up. Will, I'm talking with him this weekend, and it's the real goal behind this is, I know you do a podcast as well, so you kind of know what it's like to want to get the different sides from everything. Like, I just got a great perspective from you, the producer. I'm going to get a perspective from Will as the DP, and then Murphy as the G&E and a producer as well, but more so on the G&E side. And then I'm going to try to get actors, see if I can get them to talk about what their thought process was going into this.
No, absolutely. It's a great idea, and it works for marketing too.
So. Absolutely. And that's the whole thing, is getting our name out there and getting our film out there, because we don't have a whole crap ton of connections. So That's the most challenging part for us, is we can make a great film, but if no one knows about it, we're screwed.
I'm going to go back into some more of a producing perspectives here, but going back to pre-production, and especially looking at the script, that was it's definitely up my alley, since you've come to me for writing advice so many times. But I think reading the script, because it's my first feature script I've read. Actually, no, one of the first. I haven't read a lot of feature film scripts, so it was, again, more experience. But from my perspective, I'm like, okay, Mike. No, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Absolutely not. That's not where I'm trying to come off. But I'm just trying to say that, okay, let's push each other. That was my perspective. Like, okay, Mike, I'm gonna push you to make this script the best you can. Instead of this dialogue here, how about this? Or instead of this scene, how about you have this happen instead? Like, how about you cut this? And Will did that too. But in my eyes, I'm like, from a producer perspective, we want the best. I want the best. I'm going to push you and you back to me like, okay, Dillon, what can you do? Like, I need more of your input.
And I'm glad that you did that, because it was a much better film. Like, I remember as we were starting pre-production, we had 60 scenes or something. But as we were going through, making the shot list with Will, which he also helped add a bunch of stuff that made more sense, and you helped add a bunch of stuff that made more sense. As we were going through the shot list, we got up to 65, 70, 75, 78 scenes by the end of the film. And it's crazy to me that we went from having a 60 scene film to a 78 scene film, um, which is awesome. I think it's great to lengthen the story and add more really important details that matter. But again, you guys were able to like kind of push to make it better overall and make it more interesting for the viewers. And I think that we've done a great job. And I did my absolute best to listen to you guys as much as I could.
No, you did.
There were some things where I was like,
Great.
I'm not going to budge on this. I'm not going to budge on that because that's something I really want. But you guys respected the hell out of that, which I really appreciate because Piper and I had certain visions that we didn't want to change throughout the film, which obviously you know that like when someone writes about something and they have a certain vision, they really want to stick to it.
No, but that's the thing, though, Mike. Yes, you stuck to your guns, but you also listened.
Yeah.
Revising, writing, yeah, you want to stick to your guns, but, your vision sometimes changes, and sometimes it has to change as well. I respect that you wanted this scene, but, sometimes you gotta see it from someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
I consider myself a direct person. So no, I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm not going to be an asshole about things, but no, I try not to be an asshole about things, but I'll say, hey, Mike, listen, this line, this is just a hypothetical scenario, but this line you have Hadley say, this doesn't really fit her, so write it this way.
The funny thing is, you are a direct person, and it shows in how you write too, because when you're like adding comments and stuff to the script, I feel fine saying this because you and I have such a good relationship with this stuff, but when you're writing on the script, you'll just say, get rid of dialogue, show with physical movement, as opposed, and I know you don't mean like passive aggressive stuff by it, but just the way you write it was like, oh, okay, he really doesn't like this. And I'm like, wait, no, it's Dillon, it's fine. He's just giving advice and stuff. Because you are direct.
And though, like, obviously, yeah, of course, but like that was, I guess you could say, part of the fun though in reading the script, like trimming the fat or adding stuff.
No,
and it felt good to
fun.
like. I felt good to like go through the script and be like, okay, so what works, what doesn't, and that's, I always call it's the joy of creation.
Yeah, and I know we did have some scenes where we were like, I don't really know how we should go about this, where you had given like some good feedback and Will had given some good feedback and I had a certain way I wanted it to see. So we literally wrote multiple versions of the same scene and compared and contrasted them just to see which fits better with the surrounding scenes. And we did that, I think, a couple times, right? And we were able to make it work, and it worked for the best, and it helped us out a lot. So I think that's one thing you have to be open to when you're writing is, yes, you want to stick to your guns and stick to your story like I wanted to as well, but you also want to welcome in feedback and constructive criticism from people who also know what they're talking about and also know a different, they see the story from a different perspective. Because you have this, when you're writing, you have this complete vision in your mind of how exactly everything looks, at least I did. But you have to, when you have that whole world in your mind, you have to take a step back and let someone else who doesn't have the whole world in their mind read it and imagine it for the first time and see if it makes sense. So that's one thing I definitely relied on you and Will for, because you guys didn't have the whole world in your mind like I did at that point.
Filmmaking is a language, multiple languages. So, stuff like script writing, it's a language in itself. The camera is another language. How do they translate over?
Yeah,
Art
absolutely.
is a language. Like, something can look really good on paper, but when you put it on camera, you're like, this isn't working out. Let's change it. So, the scene with, and I'm not saying this is bad, and again, it's just hypothetical, but the scene with Cash and Hadley, okay, this looks good on paper. Can we change it to this because it will translate better on the screen?
Or it'll make it look like they're more sibling-like. It'll add better to the dynamic too.
Yeah, the big thing with film, as you know, is show, don't tell. So instead of, Cash, because there were some some scenes I saw that I wrote comments on, like Cash saying, "Oh, I'm upset today. How about you just show a close up of him crying?"
Or yeah, just a simple facial expression of him just looking like crap.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
So
And it we were able to do a lot more of that than when originally it was in the script. Like, so you remember when the first iteration of the script, I was thinking all dialogue, all dialogue, all dialogue, and then I wasn't really the best with like writing in physical descriptions of things because I also didn't know what the character or the actor looked like. So it was really challenging for me to write in that kind of stuff if I didn't have a physical or like a visual on exactly what the character looks like. So that was a challenge for me. But once we got like cast Isaiah, we cast Cora, and then we finally got Riley, I was able to like look through again and just make like subtle changes. And we did this together, I think, and we were able to make changes to make it work better, where they were able to show their physical emotions better.
no, and that's, you don't know until you see. There are times, if you know what I mean. But that's again part of what I call the joy of creation. You don't know.
Yeah.
Something can look good, it doesn't, so you got to change it. Or you have this vision in your head, and the vision's got to change. Best lesson I ever learned from school was no film will ever come out 100% the way you want it to. So settle for 99. That's just what filmmaking life is. When I obviously listened to the other episodes, but when we were making Hide and Sleep and Last Stream and all that, those were not the original visions in my head when I was writing the script. I was like, okay, I want this, but then you're there, you're like, okay, Dillon, let's do this. Hey, Dillon, we can't obviously do that, so let's make do with what we got here. So again, going back to let's push each other. That was my perspective. Mike, I'm going to push you. You're my friend. I mean it in a good way. I'm going to push you to get the best out of this.
Yeah, and I appreciated that you did that as well as other people on set. Like Will and I have gotten like really close over working with each other, but Will and I especially as well. Like we would talk about the shot list and stuff, and we'd push each other. We'd be like, "Hey, let's do this shot. Let's do this shot." And we like kind of like push the comfortability level when it comes to going the safe route versus going to let's just try this shot and see what happens. If not, we have a backup shot. So that was something I was really proud of on set. We were able to push each other, like you said.
I've taken a few acting classes, and one of my teachers said acting is stepping out of your comfort zone. Believe me, I know now.
Yeah.
So, things got uncomfortable, and, we got stronger from it. Walk through hell, we get stronger.
Yeah, and again, we could sit here and talk for another hour and a half about all this, but one thing I do want to mention before we start to wrap up is just the fact that, like you said, acting is like completely pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, being a completely different person in that moment. And I was able to see that with our actors. They did such a great job of it, and it was kind of crazy because now, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that one of the main things I associate our actors with, just their people, like Cora, Isaiah, and Jared. One of the main things I associate them with is these three characters that we created. I'm like, I still do this. I still, when we're looking at like editing and stuff, and we're in editing mode when Will and I are on FaceTime or call or whatever, we will go through and I'll be like, oh, this is when Isaiah was doing this, and then I have to text, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm texting Isaiah right now, or I'll accidentally say Cash instead of Isaiah, or I'll accidentally say Cora instead of Hadley, and vice versa. So it was funny because I start, especially on set, you watched me do this multiple times. I'd walk up to Isaiah and be like, hey, Cash, so this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, I am so sorry. But they did such a good job at getting into character and expressing who that character was that it genuinely got me into the mindset that, oh, yeah, that's Cash. That's Hadley. That's Riley. That's Doug.
Well, that's good, isn't it? Because they're doing such a good job of bringing the characters to life. Now you see them. If they didn't do that well, then you wouldn't be saying that. We'd all be saying like, oh, Isaiah, or oh, Cora, oh, David. You know what I mean? But they brought the characters to life, and in that it brings the script to life, and it makes a better film. I know it.
Absolutely.
I know it's cliche, but you have popular icons from pop culture like Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker.
Mhm.
James Wade Rodriguez is Sean, and Dule Hill is Gus. Yeah, you
And
see
no
them.
one else will ever be those characters.
You can see them in other media, but when I see them, I'm like, hey, it's Sean and Gus.
Yeah, that's what I saw a movie I think the other day where I saw Delay Hill in it, and I was like, wait, it's Gus.
And that's the thing. Like, yeah, they might be. They're still, they played other roles, but they're so defined by that role. It means they did a really good job of bringing that character to life. You have to be a really talented and very strong actor, and it happens all the time. But you have to be really strong to break out of that and be seen as someone else, like Brad Pitt. He used to be the lover boy, the pretty boy, but now he's in so many roles and so many movies. He's more than that, but not everyone is Brad Pitt.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm not saying these actors are going to be defined by their roles, but if they brought them to life so well that now we're referring to them by their role, then good job to them, and they deserve applause. You know what I'm saying? Very long explanation again, but
yeah.
I'm praising them. They got my thumbs up.
They did amazing again, and my thought process is again, if I'm like you said, if I'm calling Isaiah Cash, that means that he again has represented Cash in such a great way, especially if I'm like the writer and one of the writers and the director of the film. He has executed our vision perfectly, if not exceeded our vision, which is super, super, super important in this film. So he did such a great job with executing Cash, and Cora did such a great job with executing Hadley and Jared Riley and David Doug, that when I mix up the characters and actors' names, I would actually be happy. I'd be happy that I did that, and I'd laugh at it because I'm like, that means that you're doing such a good job that I am literally confusing you for the character. So I hope that when they heard me do that, they weren't offended, but they took it as a compliment because it means that they did such a great job, and I appreciate the hell out of it.
I don't think they were. I accidentally did it a few times. I was like, hey, Hadley over here. Oh, wait, sorry, that's Cora.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, look, it's the siblings are at it again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Not siblings.
Is Ann Cora?
They got along like siblings right off the bat, though.
It
was hilarious.
Aren't siblings in real life. They're not twins, for that matter. So
no, it was hilarious because like literally first day on set talking to each other, they got along like siblings right off the bat, and I was cracking up because I'm like, what the hell? You guys have known each other for 24 hours, not even. And you guys are already getting along like siblings, which is exactly what's perfect for their roles, obviously. But it was just shocking to me. I was expecting a few days for people to get like comfortable and get to know each other, which for the most part it did. But those two just like immediately perfect.
And David and Jared too. I told you, like, David and I sitting down talking about our cats and our how our careers are going, but like a father talking to a son, or more like like an uncle talking to a mentor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jared too. Like, first couple days he was with us. We were up watching, bad films and playing video games. He was right there with us, and he was talking to us like an old friend. Like,
yeah, and the only reason I brought up Cora and Isaiah real quick is just because that was like literally the first days that anyone was there.
No, of course.
No shade to anyone else. It was just because it was the first days that anyone was there, so I was really shocked that people were getting along literally 24 hours after we all got there.
Oh, of course. And no, that just, again, that made the film better. And I know we're going to wrap up here, but like that's adds to my producer perspective, is because, like, okay, these characters are bringing this to life these characters are bringing this film to life. As a producer, what can I do to continue bringing that to life, to add more life into it? I was in charge of equipment, so if I have to spend money, then I would spend money. But if this piece of equipment can bring this film to life better, can add more life, great. If getting some more money helps it bringing to life, great. My mom taught me wrapped it up what a producer does long ago. But thank you, Mom. And she was the hidden MVP of this, I'll say that. But she said a producer's role, Dylan, is to make the film go. And that's what I was thinking. How do I make this film go?
Yeah. And it was a challenge all through and through. It was a really big challenge overall, and I think that we have done a good job at managing this challenge so far. And just every little small hiccup that came along the way, we managed it. We figured out a way to make it work, and we're still doing that. Editing is one of the most challenging parts, and Will and I were talking this morning. Hey, scene 22. You guys don't know what 22 is. Scene 22. What can we do to make it better? Or scene 36. What can we do to make that better? Make it look better. Make it run more smoothly throughout. And the challenges are they're challenges, but they're the part where the most communication is necessary. And as long as you're able to communicate through challenges and figure out ways to maneuver in the best way for the film, for the project, and for the people that you're working with, you'll be fine. And I think that you have helped tremendously in that. I remember you were like right by my side when I had to do last second rescheduling at not in winter, June 28th. So you and Piper were like right by my side, kind of like helping me figure out scheduling and figuring that out. So I appreciate all you've done. So thank you again.
And, Mike, we've talked about challenges and our perspectives and all that, the fun. I'll just say this has been very fun. It's still fun to bring something to life. It's something that we all wanted to do. When we first met in the LLC, we're like, okay, want to work together. Mike, we brought to life, some of my scripts, brought to life some of yours, and it's just now let's pool our skills into something greater, and it was amazing. I remember, I will mock you for this conversation so many times, but you said jokingly to your dad, you know what, I'll just pay Dillon to write the script for me and take all the credit. But no, you did that. You did this, Mike. You and Piper did this, and just the feelings of like pride and like happiness for all of us, two of my close friends. It's just, amazing. This is such a cliche line, but you really have come such a long way. You know what I mean? And
I'm really glad that we were able to do this from like freshman year of college all the way to now being 2.5 years removed from college. It feels so much more satisfying to have someone who's been there the entire time of me growing as a filmmaker, basically, and having you by my side has been so nice.
And the journey's not over.
No, not even close. I mean, we have a company together. We can't just drop that now.
And we can just keep learning. I will say, I've learned so much working on this film. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, but it's a learning experience. I've worked on some bad films before. You've heard me rant about them all the time. But even then, despite that, it's still learning. And, I was in ROTC, so leadership traits, one of them, and leadership principles. One of them is know yourself, seek self-improvement. That's it. Like, know where our strengths are, know where our weaknesses are, and just keep growing, keep learning. The worst you could do is just stop and say, no, I'm the best. You can get cocky and arrogant about it. Like, no, I don't need to learn anymore. I'm already the best. No, you're not. There's always something new on the horizon. And as I said, the journey for us has just begun. Let's make another film like this. Let's write something and let's keep going. And it's just that feeling of fun and feeling of accomplishment and just working with the best cast and crew. They can't take that away from us. And it was an honor. It was an absolute honor to do this.
Yeah. And like you said, actually, you said this, you started saying this, but it's great to know your strengths, but it's even better to know your weaknesses so you can pay attention to what you want to learn and how you want to get better at it. And that's one thing that I was really paying attention to. Like, and I even sent out, like, I told everyone, give me feedback. And the same, you're the same way. You want feedback. And every time that someone's like, hey, maybe try this, you take a note of it and you use that to get better, to be better for next time, and to be able to be that all around team player that's able to know more about every little aspect of things that are going on. So that's one thing that I think we all took from this is yes, it's great to know your strengths, but it's even better to know your weaknesses so you can learn more.
And trust me, I want to keep learning because there's stuff I have to get better on. So I don't know how we, and more so you, did all the scheduling and all that, but we did it.
I don't know either. I have no clue how either.
Make the deal with the devil or something, the film devil, the film god.
Whatever it was, I lost a lot of sleep.
But no, Mike, blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of tears and a lot of sweat because it was hot. So
yeah. I feel like your secret favorite part of all of filming was watching me cry on the end of the July filming dates. Yeah. I feel like that was your secret favorite part.
Yep, absolutely. Secret. Yep. No, open secret. Yep, I wanted to see you bawl your eyes out.
Well, you got to see that. I wonder how it feels now.
just kidding. No. Oh, and as we wrap up here, that final group photo of all of us with the drone and all the crew together, all the cast together.
Well, unfortunately, not everyone was there, but I will absolutely get that framed.
Please.
I will. For myself, not for you. You have to pay for your own money to get that framed.
But, like, that is amazing.
No, I'm
so and they can't take this. No one can take this from us. So
no one. I mean, you can take the hard drives and burn them, whatever the hell you want, but you won't take the memories that happens from this, because literally the best experience of my life. So that's how I'm going to wrap this up. Dillon,
it was amazing.
You are the best. I appreciate you so much and everything you've done for this. We've just talked for an hour and 12 minutes.
That's great. Hey, Cora gave me the nickname when we were all saying goodbye. She said, producer extraordinaire, and now I have to live up to that name.
I will officially give you that title after you produce extraordinarily one more film, and then you will officially have that title. I'll make you a little name tag for that too. But once you officially produce, extraordinarily produce one more film, I'll get you a T-shirt. Fine, that'll be your next birthday present if you pull something off before then.
Let's win an Oscar then.
Well, we can certainly fucking try. But no, thank you again for taking the time to talk about this and do this. We'll probably have you on later on once we're kind of into the more after post-production thing. But I'll definitely have you on again.
There's just so much to say. We could talk here forever. But Mike, thank you for having me on. It was great. This River's Edge film is... I got involved in it because, one, you asked me, but two, it was a project that I believed in. I still believe in. And, it's a learning experience. It's a lesson. Nobody's perfect. So, we have to learn as we go at times, apply our skills, work together. And, for all future filmmakers out there, really just find your people. That's it. And learn. Just keep learning, because there's just so much. And
I think we found our people.
We did. And when I was a TA in school, I told my students the biggest thing, because they were making like music videos and documentaries and little short films. I said, big thing though, have fun. Like, yes, it's a school assignment, but like, have fun with it. Like, it's your film. In this case, it was you and Piper's film. Have fun. Like, just films can be as ridiculous or serious, lighthearted, dark as they want, and just have fun and just have the right people. We got lightning in a bottle with this, so let's keep going. So thank you, Mike. You've done amazing. I am
thank you.
Proud of all of you, of everyone, from you, Will, too many people to name, Piper, Colleen, Murphy, Maddie, Angus,
Aiden, Peter, Jacob,
Isaiah, Cora,
Jared,
Carter.
David, Carter. Oh my gosh, I know I'm
Our
forgetting
parents.
someone. I feel bad. Our parents. I'm not even going to put this part in because I don't want to forget anyone. But no, again, thank you again for taking the time to do this. We will post this as soon as we can. This is an hour and 15-minute long episode, so I've never had an episode this long. So thank you for breaking that barrier for me.
You're welcome. So, until next time.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Uncropped. We will talk to you next week. Have a great night, everyone.